Myristica fragrans, also known as nutmeg. Nutmeg's a spice that has been used for thousands of years in traditional Eastern medicines, and it was actually imported into Europe and into the West sometime during the Middle Ages. Now, nutmeg is a seed from a tropical evergreen tree that originated in Indonesia, but it's actually now cultivated all over the world, wherever the climate actually supports its growth. Now, it's obviously a very popular aromatic cooking spice, but it does have many important medicinal benefits, not least its ability to neutralize anxiety and panic attacks, stress, depression, and insomnia. Now, nutmeg contains a wide array of essential oils, which really give it a very amazing aroma. And these oils are also responsible for the bulk of its health-promoting medicinal properties. Now, nutmeg is a really excellent heart and cardiovascular tonic, but from the perspective of Eastern medicines, the heart is also the seat of our consciousness, and so nutmeg is really widely regarded as one of the premier herbs for calming disturbed emotions and balancing an irritated mind. Myristicin is one of the main aromatic constituents in nutmeg, and it's also a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, which basically means that it can decrease the metabolism of important neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which is part of the reason why it's so good for anxiety and panic attacks. But there's a lot more to it than just that. Now, from the perspectives of both Ayurveda and Tibetan medicine, nutmeg is considered to be a wind pacifier. Now, wind here really refers to a person's constitution that is dominated by the wind element, but it also refers to that subtle energy that's traveling through the meridian system of the body. Now, this chi, or this prana, this subtle energy, in Tibetan is known as lung, and lung basically translates as wind. Disturbed mental and emotional health pretty much always corresponds to disturbed and irritated subtle pranic energy, or that wind-like energy that's traveling through the meridian system of the body. Or it could also mean that the channels, the meridian channels themselves, are actually damaged or blocked in some way. So nutmeg has been used for exactly this purpose for thousands of years in Eastern medicine, because it's actually very good at dissipating that pranic tension, or the tension within that energy, and it's very good at dilating the channels, the meridian system, and helping to remove blockages that may be in that system. Now, as I mentioned, nutmeg is a very powerful heart tonic, and this is really important because the subtle energy that resides in the heart is responsible for the sensitivity of our senses, and it also governs our emotional perspective. So being able to tonify the heart and that energy that flows through it is very important if we want to restore conditions like anxiety and panic attacks and depression back into a state of balance. Nutmeg is very warming, so although it's perfectly okay for most people to consume it in moderate doses, people with a very fiery, hot constitution may not want to consume it too frequently. But interestingly, people with a very fire-dominated constitution are usually a lot less likely to develop chronic conditions of anxiety and depression anyway. Now, another point worthy of note here is that when nutmeg is consumed in high doses, the myristicin content in it becomes psychoactive, and this is why a lot of people have tried consuming high doses of nutmeg so that they can trip from it. And this is a really stupid idea, because when you take nutmeg in such high quantities, it actually becomes very toxic, and it can be very damaging. It can cause nausea, loss of vision, it can cause heart palpitations, it can be quite damaging to the kidneys. So there's so many amazing benefits from nutmeg if we consume it in the right dose, but it's really not worth taking large doses of it, and especially not to trip in some, for some psychoactive purpose, because if that's really your agenda, there's some much better, much safer options available than nutmeg. A perfectly safe dose of nutmeg is about 1 gram per day for an adult, but for a small child you could just decrease that, give them like half that amount. Now, nutmeg usually comes in powdered form, or you can get the whole kernels like I have here. These smell absolutely amazing. Now, for these need to be grated before you use them, so you'd grate them into a powder and just use them like that. These are always going to be best. This is always going to be a better option to get these whole kernels if you can. But if not, you know, a good quality organic nutmeg powder is still going to be excellent. And you can also use nutmeg oil as an external therapy, like a massage oil, but, you know, traditionally speaking, it's just been used in cooking, added to food while it's cooking, or added to warm milk or that kind of thing. Now, here at my house, we've been making homemade ghee, and I've been infusing the ghee with nutmeg, which is absolutely amazing. Now, I've been having it quite a bit lately, and I've really been feeling the effects of it, because my personal constitution is very much dominated by the wind element. Now, it's not really necessary for everybody to take nutmeg constantly, although people suffering from anxiety do really get a lot of benefit from taking it solidly for at least 1 month, and then having maybe a break for 1 or 2 weeks, and then continuing again for a month, and just cycling on and off like that. So nutmeg is absolutely incredible at helping release tension in the mind and throughout the whole body. And because it's such a powerful heart tonic, it really helps to open up the heart and improve circulation of blood and that subtle pranic energy. And because it's has quite a warming nature to it, this is very important for conditions of anxiety and panic and stress and depression, because all of these conditions, generally speaking, are actually exacerbated by the presence of cold. Because when we're in a cold environment, we tend to notice that blood vessels contract and the meridians of the body also contract. And so the flow of fluids and of that subtle energy is actually reduced and constricted in the presence of cold. So nutmeg actually helps us to dilate all of these internal pathways in the body and allow things to circulate more freely.